I'm still sick, as you can hear. So I'm currently working on a full timeline for Once Upon a Time, which will definitely be the biggest video I've ever made on this channel. I'm also updating my gigantic family tree to Season 6 standards, but in this final video I am making on the series, I will review which of my theories were correct, which were wrong, and what my prediction is for the final battle. Hello, I'm the Theorizer. Aside from Supernatural, Once Upon a Time is the only show I watch anymore, and why? Because of the story. There are multiple twists per episode, which is why I can't handle myself. Excitement overflows. Some say the creators are retconning the crap out of it, but I feel like the viewers simply aren't understanding how various flashbacks are actually fitting in. Many people who watch the show are in it for the character romances and the fairy tales, but I'm into it for the reason I think even the creators love the most: the ultimately epic story. I like to make fun of the die-hard romance fans sometimes. There's a fanbase called Swan Queen, which ships Emma and Regina together, and I commented some triggering things on Hook and Emma's wedding episode trailer. But let's review my many theories. So for those of you wondering, my family trees are not theories, obviously. I only call them that because their styles fit into the same category as my theorizations. But starting off way back in 2015, I made a depressingly short video explaining something obvious. Moving on past the tree, upon Season 6 starting up, I made a video analyzing Lily Page's parents. Let's analyze that one quickly. So this entire video was made to prove one point: that the dragon is Lily's father. I had concrete evidence for sure, but only a couple of weeks after I posted it, the creators were questioned about it. They said that the evidence was a big pile of red herrings, misleading clues. They said that they probably won't reveal her father yet, and Season 7 status is still unknown, so we may never know. In another video, I went on to explain how Tiger Lily's dad may be the dragon, but after learning that it's impossible, I'm finally going to settle with what the rest of the fanbase has been telling me for months: his daughter's probably Mulan. So in my next vid, I started talking about the many times I made correct predictions, and then I went on to say the most logical thing I'd ever done: that Jafar was posing as a minor character introduced in early Season 6. The evidence was packing up, but for some unknown reason, none of it came to pass. And you can't call all of these red herrings, because just watch the video and you'll know why. I can't believe they ended up making Jafar a pathetic little character in the end. It just made no sense, especially after the awesome things he did in the spin-off series. But after this grand theory, I proposed a bunch of mini theories. I said that Greg Mendel should still be alive on Neverland, since his shadow would have been returned to him. But then I remembered that Tinkerbell said that he had practically rotted away. My next theory was that the Black Fairy was exiled by the Blue Fairy for having romantic relations with Malcolm. I was right about the Blue Fairy exiling her, but wrong about the reasoning. I feel like the reasoning they gave was still pretty solid, however. My next mini-theory stated that in the season finale, the Wish World and the real world would collide, producing a massive explosion of symbolic duality. I was wrong. But then I said that they would defeat the evil queen by letting Regina absorb her, showing her that she has to accept all parts of herself. I was half right on this. She did learn to accept all parts of herself, but she never absorbed anyone. She just shook the hearts around and whatnot. But I was right about the premise of her defeat. I then made one final mini-theory about Snow and Charming's sleeping curse and how Emma would break it. That didn't really happen. Another theory busted. So that theory was done. But I then made a two-part theory on the Black Fairy, which was one of the most well-thought-out videos I'd made to date. In part 1, I argued how Neverland was either the Dark Realm or was a small part of the Dark Realm, or in the least, controlled by the Black Fairy. Now, I was 100% right about my prediction that Neverland would return. I was happy about that. At least one part of my theory came totally true, but the rest didn't. I gave some of the best evidence I had ever come up with, but it didn't come to pass. The way things actually happened angers me. I don't know why the creators would have this much evidence, but then ditch it all when they ended up doing the reveal. Long story short, they revealed that Neverland is not controlled by the Black Fairy at all. In the second part of this grand theory, I produced even more evidence, and then came up with a ton of new mini-theories, one of which was that it was the Black Fairy who put the Once Upon a Time book in Snow White's closet. We still don't know if this is the case, but we will soon enough. I also said that every single plot hole in the series was actually the Black Fairy altering people's fate. In the musical episode, which by the way was catchy as fudge, a random new page appeared next to Henry. So we know that it was never the Black Fairy, so let's just hope this fate is revealed soon enough. But I was right about this person in the behind-the-scenes pictures being Jamie Murray. We now have more images where we see her more modernized, from new spoiler pics from the season finale, but more on those in a second. In the comments section of this video, I also gave more evidence for the Neverland theory, which you can read now, but I won't keep this screenshot up for long. No! Bye-bye, screenshot! So anyways, my next point in this video was that the sword known as Hrunting banished Wish Regina. But then I realized that Wish David actually said that wasn't the case. I am indeed stupid. Then I proposed that maybe the Black Fairy was the figure under the hood in the final battle, but I'm thinking it may still be Gideon. I also pointed out how many different recurring numbers like 8, 15, and 28 were pretty significant, but then I realized that they were just lost references. Then I made another quick mini-theory in this video about how Lily was the apprentice's daughter. And I still stand by that. But more importantly, the very last point I made is why I'm making this video now. My prediction on the outcome of the final battle. I claim that everybody will get sucked into the book. Now, this is going to be partially correct. So now it's time for me to do the one thing I rarely do, but love doing. A trailer analysis. Let's analyze the Season 6 finale trailer and see what we can find. So it's either the end of the book, which is triggering the end of all realms, or it's the Black Fairy's curse. I'm betting on the curse being the cause, which is insanely epic and cool, but what we can see from this trailer is that Regina and everybody else are in their original clothing. I'm betting that Fiona's curse is sending everyone back to where they originally were in the stories. Regina goes back to the Enchanted Forest as the Queen, Snow and Charming as the lovely couple, Zelena as the witch, Hook as a pirate, etc. But clearly, they all have their memory. I believe that Fiona is sending them all back into their original placements, so that when she consumes all of the realms, it will be easy and fast, and you get the point. Sentimentality over the flow of the story prior to her curse. Then we see either that's Snow or Aurora running, I can't quite tell. Then we see Emma loving her cringy spawn in Storybrooke, and then the most dramatic text y'all will ever see. A quest? Back to that in a minute. We then see Emma fleeing town and Snow White telling Killian to find Emma and get her to believe. I think that the main 5 were sent back to their original places, but the others weren't. Emma, Henry, Gideon, Fiona, and maybe Rumpel got to stay. I think she wants Emma to be alone. Then we see Emma burn the Once Upon a Time book next to, I don't know who that is, maybe it's Fiona? I don't know. Then we see more of Sir Cringe trying to convince her to fight. Then we finally see Fiona in modern clothing, the same clothing we see in the original behind-the-scenes images. We then see her son give her back her wand. Creepy. Then Hook elbow drops the air around him, David climbs a beanstalk, and then we get probably the most interesting shot in the whole trailer. We see, well, I'm not too sure. It looks like Wonderland, but it has a similar theme to Jefferson's hat. Maybe we're finally going to see what's behind all of those doors. Oh, I hope so. But then we see, I believe it's Henry or Gideon holding a sword. Then we get a kiss, and then a holy crap, Gideon is fighting for his family. So he wasn't under Fiona's control when doing this. Interesting. We then see Rumpel being Rumpel, and Emma using David's sword, while Gideon uses Hrunting in the epic battle they finally fight. Then in the logo screen, we see the trees above them shine golden, almost like everything is resetting anew, like a big bang to the fairy tale worlds. So what do I think this episode is going to be all about? Well, I already told you some of it, but after everybody is sent back to the fairy tale realms, I think they start to evacuate all of the realms to the land without magic. The only realm that will be safe from her curse. Notice how in the Season 5 finale, we discovered that all of the artifacts and books from previous lands were in this one museum, almost like it's a memorial site for every single book that finished, collapsing the stories in on themselves and locking them up in this museum. Perhaps it was the apprentice who we know lived around New York who put them there. We may never know, but there are a couple of holes in this theory, so let's move on to my predictions. So what I think they're doing is evacuating all of the realms to the land without magic because it stays safe. We see them climbing beanstalks, going to Wonderland, and many other realms. I just hope they also go to the Dark Realm. I'm pretty sure once they're done evacuating, they make their way back to Storybrooke for Emma's big fight. Now, I was clearly right about Zelena taking Henry and Robin out of the town. Regina literally asks Zelena to do it, so I'm certain that's what's gonna happen as they all get sucked up. But finally, I want to analyze the behind-the-scenes pictures. It seems as though the Black Fairy has created a new Storybrooke of sorts, erasing the memories of Archie and modernizing her clothes. She seems to have Emma locked in an asylum. Maybe she's the new mayor of this place. Oh, I'm cutting in right now. Breaking news, breaking news. As of right now, literally this second, I have read the plot synopsis of the finale. It says how it is still Storybrooke, but it is under something similar to the Dark Curse. Emma has no memories, and I was right, Fiona is the mayor. And it appears as though Henry is trying to wake Emma up. This makes sense for the BTS picks, and it says that the quintet's quest is to get back to Henry and Emma. Boom. That was easy. And I'm prepared for this finale like nothing else. I just hope that this ain't the last season. Jennifer Morrison just denied her contract being renewed for the potential Season 7, so things are looking bleaker and bleaker. When I make my new family tree, which will also include the Once Upon a Time in Wonderland characters, I will discuss what I got right here and what I got wrong here. And until then, I'm the Theorizer.